Where's this wind coming from?
What's up?
Do you feel that?
Yeah. Coming from the southeast, boy.
Okay, we live.
We live, man.
Morning, G.
Bibi, how you doing?
I'm good, man.
Good. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I sent my friend our podcast, and he's a very funny guy, Greek guy. So he said I looked like I was giving the mic a BJ.
Was that the?
It's my Greek friend.
That was episode 2 when you hit the mic.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was. Yeah, take it easy on us, guys.
Yeah,
we're
geez.
new to this.
Yeah,
we're very
cheers.
new to this,
Yeah.
but it's okay.
Nice.
So we're just enjoying some coffee out here. Episode 4, I think.
It's episode 4,
So
man.
we're going to go into a little bit of our findings, a little bit of the interesting ones like cholesterol. My cholesterol was slightly off. And then we have our electronic blood pressure monitor. So we'll go to some BP readings with the electronic one opposed to
Yes,
our
exactly.
normal readings.
That's That's the HA recommend. American Heart Association recommend that you test your own blood pressure with an electronic device at home. So we're going to follow their guidelines. We'll link some studies. Everyone that's interested can use these things.
Quick question.
Yeah.
If someone like you were wanting to take your own, would you still use an electronic on yourself?
What I would like,
you just listen to yourself.
I'd like somebody. I actually want to teach you how to do auscultatory, and I want you to do blood pressure on me every once in a while.
I could do it
Yeah,
now.
yeah. And so what I would ideally like is I would like for a proper machine, so something like in a clinical setting, like in a nurse's station of somewhere like Medicross or something like that, where they've got like a good brand Philips or something like that, or a proper
you can trust.
monitor, where you can get a good blood pressure reading that's got good chips inside it and good circuitry and whatever.
Yeah.
That's the thing about these things, is that it all goes about the computer. So we know that there's not a great computer in here, but it is better than nothing. And technology does progress. And the organizations that we look for, this isn't my advice. This is first of all, it's not medical advice. Second of all, they're not doctors. Third, what we do is we look to the people with the information, which is the people, the journals, and we look at the AHA. We've already been through that in depth, and they recommend, AHA recommends that you monitor your own blood pressure, and they recommend using an electronic device.
I'm just wondering because
I wouldn't.
They probably say that for
it's the best thing.
Normal individual, someone without the kind of practice that you had.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's recommended because it's what's available. Like people don't automatically have. It's easy for somebody to get this in the home, and it's better than nothing.
Instead of a whole
it should
setup.
be all right. The thing about medical devices is medical devices need calibration. They also need service. So even medico-legally, if you landed up in court as a practitioner, you're working somewhere and you hadn't serviced your machines properly, and they're out of range for whatever reason, that's big drama for any practitioner. So that's the big thing with these, is you buy a small electronic home monitor, but you don't service it. It doesn't get calibrated. Nobody knows it's a device, an electronic and mechanical device. It's an electronic mechanical device that will need service. So about a year you give it. Like if I were to just rely on these things, I'd buy one a year. Because after a year, definitely there's stuff that's gone on. You don't know, you've dropped it, this, that, and the next thing. It's out of calibration. So, and the reason that
it's like a year sitting inside at home. Well, maybe if you're like, okay, someone on the field wouldn't be using that, but if you're being a bit hefty with it, like you said, you drop it once, it could go out of calibration. So you just got to watch that.
And even just over time, there is wear and tear in these machines. And so who knows where it's been manufactured and et cetera, to what standards. We just know that it's a very simple blood pressure, electronic blood pressure monitoring machine. And that's it for the blood pressure side of things.
A little bit of
later.
I want to interrupt. You're looking a bit large there, huh?
Am I looking good?
A little bit, bro.
Nice. That's good. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I've been working hard in the gym. Because I'm working so hard.
Have you measured your arms again?
Yes, 40.
40
at peak pump. Yeah.
With a pump.
Yeah,
Okay.
40. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, dude. No, thank you.
Nice.
Yeah, so because I'm focusing so much more on strength now, my I was really hardcore with the endurance and speed. So I was doing like 8K runs, six. That's my was my usual 6K, 8K
That's
run.
your forte, though.
Yeah, and then every other day doing like a 12K run. But just because my load under weight has been so hectic lately, where I can really feel it, not in a bad way, but where I can really feel it is in my back here, like my lower back. When I start, like, because what I do now, I can't run with the amount of load that I'm doing on myself. It's too much strain under me not to do like an 8K run. So I've been
You
doing
mean
like,
load in the gym?
yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm doing like 3K runs, but I haven't even been running lately. What I've been doing is just taking my soccer ball and going to the beach and just playing soccer, just sprinting up and down, kicking the ball, and like that's giving me a good amount of I'm getting my cardio in there. And once or twice I've been and just as I played for about 5 minutes, and then between my lower back and my legs, just everything just seized up. It was like you can't go anymore.
Yeah.
And like when you take a sock.
Gets a bit pumped, and it
Yeah.
will, because you're starting to develop those muscles
Yeah.
from how heavy rows, all kinds
Yes.
of stuff. You just,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
it
there was.
seizes up. It's the perfect word.
Yeah, exactly. Whenever I take a soccer ball anywhere, you find people to play with. It's like I love it. And I found this guy. I was just playing soccer with him, and but I was already could feel it in my legs and my back, like I was feeling weak. And I lifted my right leg off the ground, and my left leg just collapsed. Yeah, and I was just like on the floor. It's like the leg just couldn't handle
What did you train before that?
that anymore. Yes, I think it was just maybe accumulation was maybe like 6 days in a row,
Yeah,
and I think it was after you and I probably after you and I did back,
yeah,
and yeah, then it was just
yeah.
it was too hectic for me. I
No,
just
that's good. How
collapsed under
many
my weight.
days? Okay, besides that stretch of 6 days, how
Yeah.
many days are you in the gym? Weight training a week.
At least 4 5. It's very like I usually take one day off, like one day rest day a week, sometimes two. But then what I do is in the rest day, it's very rare that I take a complete rest day. But if I do take a rest day, then I'm still the first thing I do when I get up in the morning is I do body weight with and elastics, and I'm still using that to get a pump during throughout the day. And still on my off days, on my rest day, I'll go around or play soccer or something like that. So I'm not really resting a lot. I'm probably pushing the overactivity limit,
Yeah.
and that happens to me in summer because I'm ADD and I'm outdoors. Like that's what I want to be. Like yesterday, I was sitting at my computer and I was like, okay, this is too much for me now. I need to get outside.
Need to escape this.
Yeah, got the soccer ball, go outside, boom, 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 boom. And I'm that guy. I'm that kind of guy. Like I'll land up, sure, especially coastal summer and me. I can get heavily overactive. I've gotten heat stroke before proper from playing soccer with car guards
Yeah.
at the beach, and I just go.
I've had heat stroke multiple
Yeah.
times downhill skating. I come home and I
Oh.
just get radically sick for like 3
You
days,
sick.
bro. Like,
Yeah. You sick.
My
You
mom's
can't.
like, "Oh, you did it again."
Yeah.
You don't feel it. You're
yeah.
just you're in the flow state. You're there. Whatever
Yeah.
you're doing, you're zoned in utterly.
So that's what I've got to push myself. I need to work on my form a lot more because I still find that my shoulders take a lot of the load. A lot of the load for some reason. Like yesterday, I just did chest and I was trying to concentrate on engaging
Getting the chest
properly.
going,
It seems easier for me to engage my chest using free weight dumbbells than it does when I'm on a bench.
I was
a
going to
flat
say,
bench.
was that Smith? Are you talking about Smith?
On the Smith machine,
Yeah.
it was more difficult to
any bar that
engage.
you're more set, you will automatically use your front delts a little
Yeah.
bit more. Even if you're trying to tuck in as much as possible,
It doesn't work. Yeah.
you will
I can feel
activate
it
it more.
engage. Yeah.
Dumbbells. That's why you see bodybuilders using dumbbells. A lot of the top guys, they stray away from the bars, and if it is a bar, it's on the Smith machine, etc.
Yeah.
They'll do benches and overhead presses and stuff.
Yeah.
It's kind of
Yeah.
it's null and void at this point.
Yeah,
You kinda-
that's and to be fair, I usually with my chest days, I usually go straight to the dumbbells. That's what I'm doing as well. I'm not doing a really flat bench, but I just
And
thought let me
also-
chuck it in yesterday.
So for you guys watching, Grant he's somewhat new to weight training. It's been months now.
Yeah.
But you said you were kind of focusing on strength.
Yeah,
So it's just something
That's what I'm
I
focusing on right now,
kind of put in his head, especially for beginners and anyone new to training. you have to build a foundation with strength first. Don't even worry about your weights that you're lifting, etc. I mean,
Yeah.
you're getting under a bar and you can hardly stabilize that. So now you
Yeah.
need to develop a baseline of strength before anything.
Yeah.
Um, and it's really good. I mean, now I've been training a long time. I still go heavy and I'm still trying to
Yeah.
build strength, but it's a slower process because I've been lifting heavy for
Yeah.
quite a while. And the focus now is going into the pump. It's going into it's time under tension. It's
Yeah.
kind of the activation and the contraction rather. But yeah, you can't go straight into that. You won't be able to get a proper activation
No.
because you haven't developed the muscle mass yet. So it's just something I wanted to add. Strength training, get into focus on your strength first. It's the
Yeah.
fundamentals of
I,
everything. You will
I,
automatically, sorry,
no,
Grant,
I want to ask you a question.
you'll
Yeah.
automatically just get bigger
Yeah.
by doing that. That is the
Yeah.
fastest route. If you're trying to get it and think of the fastest route and you're watching these seasoned professionals busy training, it's not going to apply to you. So yeah.
What do you recommend? Like, I love pull-ups, man. I believe that's a good way to one thing that you can use to get strong, and your body weight stuff, your push-ups and that. If somebody's just getting into it, my personal advice would be get do be able to do 10 wide grip pull-ups properly
Yeah.
before you start
In the
doing
gym.
anything else. Yeah, yeah. Be able to do that because if you think about it realistically, if you're starting out like the French Foreign Legion, for example, their entry requirement is 3 pull-ups.
Yeah.
So they understand that people 3 proper pull-ups, right? So they understand that people that's their base strength that they say, okay, now I can take this person and work with them.
Yeah.
And then you'll see those guys doing like sets of 20,
Yeah.
30,
Yeah.
and even with weight on them, like at the end of their basic training or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
So
No,
the
that's really
military focus on pull-ups a lot.
it's
And it's
interesting. I mean,
yeah,
a wide grip pull up is one of the best upper body compound movements there is,
yeah,
because it's a compound movement where you're not actually loading, so
yeah,
you're almost elongating your spine.
yes,
And it's just awesome if you get some weights involved and you
yeah.
get a belt and you hang
Bolton
some
hang some
weights.
weight.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
is. I've seen some of the biggest
yeah,
guys still doing
yeah.
weighted wide grip pull ups.
Yes, yeah,
I'd say I'd say it's very very good, but it's kind of interesting. I wouldn't put like a level. Like you said, maybe 10 wide
yeah,
grip pull ups.
yeah, yeah,
You can get a guy who's heavy. I mean,
yeah,
I've had a few mates that are heavy and they've
yeah,
been training a long time and they're fully capable with
yeah.
form. They can bench, they can do everything.
Wouldn't be able to
Can't do
do.
6 wide grip pull
Yeah, yeah,
ups.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah.
That's probably why the French
Yeah,
see a 3 and they're like, that's okay.
yeah. That's what. Seriously,
Yeah,
that's the
yeah.
entrance requirement is 3.
Yeah,
You must just be able to do 3 proper. They're going to get you to that hyper level, but
yeah, yeah,
just to be able to do
yeah,
3 is because it's such a hard exercise.
yeah. No, it is. It
It's
really
such
is.
a hard
You
exercise to do
forget
properly. Yeah,
because I mean, I've been doing pull ups. I actually want to tell you a little story. This is going way, way back to when I was super young. And it just goes to show, I don't know, I guess my love and my passion for what I'm doing.
yeah,
I was sailing when I was really young, like 8, 9 years old. And I just remember I wanted a six pack. That was it. I wanted, like, I saw people with guys with six packs. I was like, I want a six pack. So we used to sail a little dinghy boat, and we put the dinghy boat in the garage. It'd be
yeah,
parked in the garage. And how you sail those boats is it's a small boat. It's a 2-man boat. You got one sail and one jib. So there's a couple controls as you go.
yeah,
But as you tack, you get under the boom and you get onto the side, and it's called hiking. You hike off the side because this boat is, with the wind hitting the sail, it's kind of at an angle, and you've got to balance this boat.
yeah.
And I just remember I'd sit in the hiking strap, and I'd sit in the boat in the garage and just do sit-ups on the boat.
Nice. Yeah.
8, 9 years old, dude. My mom would be like, "What is this? This is cooked," And I still remember it vividly
way.
how badly I wanted
Just
it.
doing
And
sit-ups,
every day
yeah.
I was like, this process can't be this long, like, and I was going at it like 100 sit-ups, as a little
Right.
righty every
Yeah.
day.
Yeah,
I didn't get abs, and I, kind of
Yeah.
faded off a little while, and I only really got abs until I was in high school. But
yeah, yeah,
it just goes to show, bro, that spark was
Yeah.
there. I
Yeah.
wanted it when I was young.
yeah.
It's quite cool to
That's
see.
cool.
Yeah.
I was also we used to play British Bulldogs, running Red Rovers in primary school. And I used to be so hyper. You can imagine me plus ADD, and I was like, I was really hyper. And I used to, the guys would never let me be on. They're always like, no, you're not. And I used to like run out of class early to be at the field first, to be like, I'm on, I'm on, I'm on. So I can tackle the guys. And they were just like, no, if Grant, you're not allowed to.
We
Because I was so
also
hectic. And I remember
we
like,
got that banned at our school
yeah.
as well.
Yeah, we always
We
used to
weren't
get
allowed to
banned.
play it
Yeah.
anymore. Yeah.
And I remember standing in front of the mirror at also probably about age 10 and looking at myself, and I looked like ripped. I was like, I'm actually quite a strong guy. It was like, I can remember that that feeling. And I wasn't big, but I was just like, I was built.
It's a
I was
cool,
just ripped.
it's a cool realization
Yeah. It's cool.
for
Yeah.
that kind of age.
Yeah, exactly. I
Yeah.
remember looking at myself and being like, oh, I'm physical. This is the, it's nice that, but yeah, I can remember having a little bit of abs at that
Took me
stage.
long, man.
Yeah. That was always
I
easy
still don't
for
even
me.
have
Yeah.
abs that well.
That was
I've
always
got a
the
4-pack.
easiest for me, is my abs. Yeah.
It's fine. I just put it all in my back now. Like,
Yeah,
if I don't have
exactly.
abs, I gotta look good from
Yeah.
the back. So,
Oh yeah. Yeah, boy. And that's it. And how's your training been?
it's been great. So I've been training heavy for this past week after my results, and just pretty much taking about 3 weeks off prior to that because of my hernia. It was affecting my mental. I was like, I don't know, I didn't know if something was going to happen or get under a squat or get in the
Yeah.
leg press or something. So I just took it easy. So I'm a little bit sore. My back is sore from the rows and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's a good stiffness.
Yeah.
It'll pass quickly. I'm feeling good. I'm training really heavy again, and we'll see what kind of gains we can make in the coming months.
Just like that doctor says, and from my experience, I wouldn't worry about that hernia. Anything happen, I'd just carry on doing like you're doing. I also had one for a long time, and without having it treated and putting myself under extreme load, same thing. Probably nothing's going to happen, but
No,
yeah.
I think I've almost, it sounds weird. I've like gotten used to it
Yeah.
because I wake up in the morning and I pop it in.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I start the day. I like check it and I just make sure it's popped in. It's so weird, but
the barrier to all this stuff is finance, in my opinion. It's so expensive, even with medical aids and insurance and all that. It is so expensive to see doctors these days, you know. So the surgeon, even with gap cover and a medical aid, they'll make you pay for it.
yeah.
And then your gap cover will pay you back. And I'll check what time of the month it is, paying medical aid payments. And it is so expensive. It's who's got the money to do it.
Yeah.
You know, I spend thousands on doctor's visits.
Yeah.
Like you're the only other guy that I've seen that's willing to spend almost 10 grand at doctors at a pop.
Yeah.
You're the only other guy. I do exactly the same thing. It's so expensive, and that's the thing. It's prohibitive
to us. So.
Yeah, but now, like for example, to have that hernia fixed, big expense.
Big recovery time.
Long recovery time.
Up the gym.
Even the other things like you want to, like your doctor wanted you to see the cardiologist. Big money, you know what I mean? And all the investigations that they do is echoes and everything else.
It's add-ons,
and for the doctor, for a practitioner, they're thinking purely clinically. They know what you need, you know? So they put you down that pathway.
Yeah.
But it's expensive.
Yeah.
And that probably is a barrier to a lot of people, is the sheer expense of doing these things. And you have to get it done privately. There's no state facilities going to do health checks on you for not even the national sports teams get state. They all do private. There's no, it's not I don't know of any state sports scientists. You know, if you got a problem,
you'll go sit in a line with people with flipping half detached limbs, and then you'll be there for your blood pressure.
No, they're too busy for
you have to go private.
You have to go private, and then you have to pay. That's the thing. So that's a big like I was thinking about your doctor that wants you to go to the cardiologist, and for his sake, it would be really good if you did go. You know, even if he thinks everything's benign and all the rest of it, because he's waiting for feedback from him for his perspective. You know, from your perspective, you feel fine as far as I understand, and it is a big cost for now, and you're going to lose it for now. But but for that doctor, his best case scenario is for you to see the cardiologist. He gets feedback, everything, because that doctor's looking at everything from a clinical perspective. There's no and that's to be fair, that's the only perspective that's what they pay them for,
Mm.
is for their clinical expertise. So we get it,
Yeah, yeah.
but whew, is it expensive to do anything beyond that?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't have money, I had a basal cell
Forget
carcinoma.
about it.
Yeah, I had a basal cell carcinoma on my arm here, beginning of this year,
Mm.
precancerous growth, right?
Mm.
Can be turned into a melanoma. It's very dangerous.
Mm.
If I went to a public clinic or something and showed them a little red spot on my arm and said, I need to see a dermatologist for this,
Mm.
can you imagine how many days and weeks or months and the mission it would just, even just to see the first person, they'd be like, you're
Yeah.
crazy, we're dealing with stuff.
Go on forever.
I had to go make an appointment with a private dermatologist to see them, expensive, and then they take a look at it and say, oh, basal cell carcinoma, precancerous, let's remove it right now. But to get that speed and to get that, it's almost impossible
Yeah.
with state healthcare. People don't even look at it. They don't even.
You'll be stuck in a line
Yeah, you literally have to be an emergency or
situation.
something that governments got an interest in looking after. Like they have antenatal clinics and stuff for mothers and children and that kind of thing. That's kind of areas that they focus on, the HIV problem, blah 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 blah,
Yeah,
stuff
yeah.
like this.
There's bigger problems out there.
Athletes
Exactly.
with PVCs, and that's not.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not, unless maybe you knew somebody in that cardiologist or whatever it's stated. But even then, they have to play by the rules.
Should we get onto the
Yeah,
cholesterol?
we can get onto the cholesterol. Let's quickly take a look. Having said that, some of the important markers here. Let me see. Hopefully, you can hear me correctly here. Some of the
Let me just
important
move it
things.
slightly away there.
Yeah. So there's a couple of important things that went on from Coles. Let me just see why I can't bring this PDF up now.
Yeah, the slightly elevated bad cholesterol and slightly low good cholesterol, basically.
Yeah.
Um,
So it's Coltix PDF. All right. So I've opened up, as always we do. We open up a lot of studies. I've brought up a lot of studies and articles, and it'll all be in the description for you guys. So just if we start with some cold stuff here, and let's just say it again: we're not doctors. We're friends. I just happen to be a paramedic. I know a little bit about stuff.
I'm a personal
Cole's the
trainer,
same.
and this is just for personal
Yeah,
entertainment.
Cole's
So,
not. Cole has a doctor that sees him,
mhm.
and we both of us. I give myself permission. He gives himself permission to talk about our medical history. So here we go. So and he gives me permission as well. I give him. So your electrolytes, what they do here, so yesterday we spoke about electrolytes. What they do is they give your reading and then they give the reference range, right? So all your electrolytes are within normal range, which is really really good. And so your sodium's in normal range, potassium chloride. Your sodium's in normal range means we kind of keeping that under control with your diet and all the
Yeah.
rest of it, and that's good. And your fasting glucose was 4.5, which is great. We say between 4 and 7.
Okay.
It should be yours is 4.5. That's great. Then they did a lipogram, and they took a look at your cholesterol. So the problem that you have is S cholesterol is 5.2, and that is high. That should be less than 5 millimoles per liter. And you also have LDL cholesterol, which is 4.9, which is high. That should be less than 3. And then your cholesterol, what they call a HDL ratio, 6.5 is high. So your HDL cholesterol, which is the good cholesterol, is low. It's zero point 0.8. So the problem with, if we just chat about cholesterol quickly, the problem with that is high cholesterol increases risk for cardiovascular disease. So cardiovascular, meaning your heart and your blood vessels and everything else here. And I've got a study here. I've got a paper opened from the from the AHA, and we'll share it with you. And they say, watch, learn, and live, interactive cardiovascular library. They talk about cholesterol and cardiovascular or coronary artery disease. So they say that LDL cholesterol deposits between layers in the artery wall, right? So coronary artery disease occurs when the inside or the lumen of one or more coronary arteries narrows. So what's a coronary artery? Your heart has its own blood vessels that feed it, and those are the coronary arteries. So when your heart contracts and it ejects blood out your aorta, as it's going out your aorta, there's little bifurcations, and those are your coronary arteries. So it gets sent to your actual heart muscle as well. So they say that when coronary artery disease occurs when one or more of the coronary arteries narrows and limiting the flow of oxygen-rich blood to the surrounding heart muscle tissue. So atherosclerosis is the process that causes the artery wall to get thick and stiff. It can lead to complete blockage of the artery, which can cause a heart attack, right? So this disease process begins when LDL, which yours is high, bad cholesterol, deposits cholesterol in the artery wall. The body has an immune response to protect itself and sends white blood cells, macrophages, to engulf the invading cholesterol in the artery wall. When the macrophages are full of cholesterol, they are called foam cells because of their appearance. As more foam cells collect in the artery wall, a fatty streak develops between the intima and the media. That's the layers of your artery wall inside the lumen. If the process is not stopped, the fatty streak becomes a plaque, which pushes the intima into the lumen, narrowing the blood flow. The plaque develops a fibrous coating on its outer edges, but if cholesterol continues to collect in foam cells inside the plaque, the fibrous outer coating can weaken and eventually rupture. When that happens, your body's response is to send platelets to stop that, and you have platelet aggregation. Then can have complete occlusion of that vessel, and then that's a heart attack.
Mm.
Smaller arteries downstream from the rupture. Okay, so the fibrous outer coating can weaken and eventually rupture. Smaller arteries downstream from the rupture can quickly become blocked. Over time, a clot may develop and they're at the rupture site and completely block the artery. A myocardial infarction or heart attack occurs when the heart muscle tissue does not receive vital oxygen and nutrients. So these are the negative effects with your increased cholesterol. So eggs, a lot of eggs, and we know that. I mean, I'm just thinking off the top of my head.
Mm.
The cholesterol part, as far as I remember, the yolk,
Yeah, yeah. So on the dietary side of
yeah.
things, just to add,
And also, we're
um,
not dietitians. We're mates talking about it and take what we want.
besides this kind of past 3 4 week little break from heavy lifting and stuff, the food's also gone down. So that was all prior, no, after the doctor's visit.
Yeah,
So just kind of putting a timeline on it, I was bulking and having cheat meals, having dirty carbs, donuts and stuff
yeah, yeah,
up until then. So yeah, that's just a thing. I mean, that's 10 eggs a
yeah,
day
yeah,
plus cheat meals, etc. It's a lot of sodium. It's a lot of other things
yeah,
that affects the cholesterol. So
yeah. Okay, well,
I have basically I have been on a bulk, on a
yeah, yeah,
dirty
yeah, yeah.
bulk. So um,
So it's not like this is when this is the it says less than 5 and yours is 5.2. The other one says less than 3 and yours is 4.9. So I don't know how high. Okay, so
how
it
out of
actually
range it
it,
actually.
it gives us the therapeutic goals here, and it gives us low risk, moderate risk, high risk, and very high risk, right?
Yeah.
And for LDL, low risk is less than 3, so your LDL is 4.9. So they say high risk, very high risk is less, less, less than 3, 4.9. Oh, this is industry. Low risk, moderate risk, high risk.
Am I at very high risk?
I don't know how to read this thing properly because it says less than or greater than. So less than 5. So yours is 5.2. So let's look at LDL. It says it should be less than 3 and yours is 4.9. It says very high risk is less than 1.4 LDL-C. No, I don't know how to moderate risk. HDL, LDL. HDL greater than 4 is moderate risk. You have HDL of zero point 0.8. TCHDL greater than 5 is high risk. More accurate cardiovascular, you need APOB and APOA1 is recommended.
What was mine?
Yours is okay. So is cholesterol
No, that last one you said above 5 was.
was high risk. HDL above 5 is high risk. So your HDL cholesterol is zero point 0.8, and is cholesterol, maybe it's talking about that, is greater than 5. So 5.2 is high risk. So
Okay.
your cardiovascular disease is high risk.
Mm.
You definitely looking at this looks like you're at high risk.
Mm,
Yeah,
mm.
with that. But I think that like I say, I'm not an expert at interpreting this. We're just basically reading out what would be ideal would be to interview the doctor, but we
Yeah.
can't do that. So
No, we're just kind of portraying the info
yeah,
that we have, and
yeah,
then also backing it up with what I've been
yeah,
eating, so
yeah,
you guys get a decent idea.
yeah. And also, I'm trying to we everything that we've looked at here that we found that there's we want to talk about something there's an abnormal or normal reading. We've found a study or something on it, so we just keep referring
Yeah,
back to that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
As far as and we're doing our best to interpret these results. Okay, so that's your cholesterol, which is high. We know. So then we move on to something called C-reactive protein.
What did just before we
Yeah,
go on? What was that recommendation you saw the other day with eggs? It was like one per week,
I think
one whole.
one,
Yeah,
yeah, one per week.
yeah.
Yeah, now they're on 10 a
No,
day.
I'm
Yeah,
just.
yeah,
Yeah, you guys actually, if you want to see a full day of eating, I've just uploaded
you
my
just did it.
my first kind of day in the life video. So we'll plug my channel. It's pretty cool. I do. It's just a follow me around day in the life. So there's a bit of gaming. There's a bunch of food cooking and eating,
Training.
and then I go train. So if you guys want to check that out, check that out. There will be more coming, but yeah, above the recommendation, I'm at like 8 to 10 eggs a day. Ooh, it's a horsefly
So
compared to one a week.
yeah, so exactly.
This
So
thing me, bro. Get away from me.
so yeah, that's so okay. Moving along, then
It's coming to you, bro.
there's something important that they check for called C-reactive protein or CRP. It's an indicator of inflammation in your body somewhere, right?
Mm,
It's usually you get positive CRP when people are sick or injured.
okay.
So yours is 1.4, and it should be zero point 0.5 to 0, and it should be 0 to 5. Yours is 1.4, so yours is fine. So it says for cardiac risk assessment, please request ultra sensitive CRP, which is HSCRP, which that's something that probably the cardiologist would do,
Mm,
that kind of thing. But your C-reactive protein is normal, and although not elevated, and we have also linked paper here from the National Library of Medicine on C-reactive protein. It says C-reactive was discovered by Tillerton France in 1930. The name serum because it was first identified as a substance in the serum of patients with active inflammation that reacted with a C carbohydrate antigen of the of pneumococcus. CRP is a pan-telluric protein synthesized by the liver whose level rises in response to inflammation. That's what you need to know. So you don't have any inflammation. It's really important when I was working for doctors in clinical settings, and they want a lot of the time, like when the lab's available, what the doctors will do for any sick patient is CRP, CRP, CRP. It's a really good indicator of
okay.
inflammation.
Yeah.
Then we move on to cardiac markers. So cardiac markers are interesting, and they are various, like this doctor looked at these cardio markers in one context. In the emergency context, you look at cardio markers to see if damage has been done to the heart muscle, because when you have damage done to the heart muscle, it releases those cardiac biomarkers,
Mm,
which is troponin and T, and also creatine kinase myocardial band. Interestingly enough, here they've done your cardiac markers, and your creatine kinase is 3,968, which is high, and the normal level is 20 to 200.
mm.
So no idea why that's happening.
Well, that is your pretty much the more muscle mass you have and the more muscle you're breaking down.
Yeah,
As far as I know, on a very basic
yeah, yeah,
understanding,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
the creatinine.
Yeah, so there's creatine in your skeletal muscles, and then there's the myocardial band. So this is under cardiac markers. So it's total creatine kinase. I don't know. It doesn't say
It's
myocardial band,
different to what?
but it's the specific to your cardiac.
Okay, okay.
Maybe, maybe not, because it doesn't say CKMB, but it's under cardiac
Yeah,
markers.
that's
That's
what
what
he
it.
did mention.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
Could
He
be.
did mention something like that. Then we've got your ALT and AST, which are liver hormones, yeah. But hold on, hematology, what cells? Let's just go down here. Okay, they've got it under cardiac markers. I don't know why, but ALT and AST is both high because it should be less than 1 IU per liter, and yours is sitting at 87 and 88. It says, please note IV, okay, and your iron's fine. And I've also linked the study to ALT and AST here.
Bless me.
Yes, it's liver enzyme. So ALT is a cytosolic enzyme that is found in high concentrations in the liver. Okay, it speaks about its half-life, and it says ALT is usually higher than AST in most types of liver disease, etc., etc. Both AST and ALT values are higher than normal in females. They also correlate with obesity, with a normal reference range high in those with high body mass index. So
There we go.
you've got a higher body mass index, so
Yeah.
it's higher ALT and AST.
So what? 300 and it.
3,000.
Yeah, I know, but it says 20 to 300.
Yes. Synthetic function test is serological level
We're
frequency
building some muscles, guys.
testing procedures, interfering factors, hemolysis, alkaline phosphatasase, lipemia, drug hepatotoxicity, other factors. It says here, other factors which can affect LT include body mass index, 40 to 50% higher with high body mass index, and exercise, 20% lower in those exercise. There are drugs, metronidazole may interfere with ALT methods because it's relatively high concentration and absorbance, etc., etc. Results reporting and critical findings, etc., etc. Clinical significance, and so on. You guys can go ahead and take a read at what's been put in here, and then all your other hormones look normal, and we can move along to cortisol that is also normal. So that's your stress hormone. Then hematology, your whole red cells are all normal. White cells, this your full blood count is all normal. Platelets is normal. And then they've done an ESR, okay, which results, okay, it's using an ESR instrument. And basically that's it, boys. So there are some abnormal findings in there. There's also that we've been through the other abnormal finding that was your PVCs, your lung function was normal.
Mhm.
Interestingly, because
What?
it's interesting for me that it's 100% normal.
Oh, because of the vape.
Yeah, because you vape. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that lady, when she was taking it, she was like, so do you smoke? I'm like, well, I do vape,
Yeah.
you know? So she's like, okay, let's just compare it to cigarettes then.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. So then she said, how often do you vape? Like getting in the car, getting out the car. So I was like, she, okay, that's a lot, you know?
Yeah.
So it was like 40, 50 or something, I'd say.
40 a day or something.
Yeah, I have pulled on that thing. And so she's like 40 or 50 cigarettes a day. So I'm like, no, you can't put that on my
Yeah.
doctor's thing. You know, that's what the doctor's seeing. So eventually she put down 10.
Yeah.
So with 10 cigarettes a day, I had perfect lung function.
Yeah. You're lucky because you're still young, you're not predisposed.
Yeah,
Give it time, vape for another 30, 40 years, and
yeah,
bound something,
yeah.
you're going to see something happening there.
Besides the effects that the nicotine does, metabolizing and
Yeah,
it's just,
everything else that's happening. And nicotine specifically also plays a part in the pathophysiology of coronary artery disease, because it causes free radicals that irritates the endothelium, the inside of your coronary artery, and can play a part, can then cause turbulent blood flow, and then plays a part in the pathophysiology,
yeah,
which pathophysiology means how the disease happened,
yeah.
how it happens, what causes it.
Okay.
So yeah, you don't want to have from a common sense perspective, for all these reasons.
Yeah,
It'd be really good for you to get off
to stuff.
the vape as soon as possible.
It's a work in progress, bro.
Yeah,
It's on my mind every day, but
you'll get there,
yeah.
and you're definitely gonna. You know what the thing is?
Mm.
I beat nicotine.
Mm.
It's your finest hour
Mm.
when you're beating it, and
Mm.
you feel so powerful and so confident and
Mm.
everything. It's like when you've been a few months off it, you're just gonna be like more than you are now, and you're ready. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's going to be so rad for you. Like it's tough to get through, but
I will get there.
but
It has to be done.
It's the
Yeah.
benefits are so high. So I think we've been speaking for quite a long
Should we
time.
get into the blood pressure, the
Let's
reading?
get into blood pressure, yeah. So just before we get into
So
that blood
the
pressure,
electronic.
yes, just to tell you guys. Okay, so again, I'm reading from the American Heart Association, and it's one of their pages here, and it's called, the cholesterol pages, on monitoring your blood pressure. So monitoring your blood pressure at home. What do they say? How to use a home blood pressure monitor. They say be still, sit correctly, measure at the same time every day, take multiple readings and record the results. Don't take the measurement over close. Then we've already shared with you guys the numbers that they share, the HA, your reference guide. Then it says if you get a high blood pressure reading, if your blood pressure is higher than 180 over 120 and you're experiencing signs of possible organ damage such as chest pain, shortness of breath, back pain, numbness, weakness, change in vision or difficulty speaking, do not wait to see whether your blood pressure comes down on its own. Call 911. This is an emergency in this country. Our emergency numbers is 112 for state, and then Netcare 911 is 082 ER24 is 084 and I don't know. There are some. You probably can just dial 911 and it'll put you through to 112. I think you can do that in this country. We can even maybe test that. So I'm just going to dial an emergency number here. So just on my phone, I'm just dialing 911. 911, and let's see what happens. It says 911.
Put on speaker then.
Emergency service.
Yeah.
Press 2
Put it by the
for
mic.
medical emergency service. Press 3 for fire emergency service.
So that's confirmed. In this country, in South Africa, dial 911 and it's going to put you through to, it'll connect, link to the 112 contact center, it looks like. And then it gives you options. You need police, you need ambulance, you need fire. So there we go. You can call 911 in South Africa. A single blah 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 HA recommendation: heart monitoring for all people with high blood pressure. Self healthcare professional determine whether treatments are working. Home monitoring or self-measured blood pressure is not a substitute for regular visits to a physician. If you have been prescribed medication to lower your blood pressure, don't stop taking your medication without consulting a healthcare professional, even if your blood pressure readings are in the normal range during home monitoring. So it goes into choosing a home care monitor. It says wrist and finger monitors are not recommended because they yield less reliable readings. Choose a monitor that has been validated. If you're unsure, ask your healthcare professional pharmacist for advice or find options at validatebp.org. And also what we'll do, we'll link this in the description for you. When selecting a blood pressure monitor for a senior, pregnant woman or child, make sure it is validated for these conditions. Make sure the cuff fits. Measure around your upper arm and choose a monitor that comes with the correct cuff size. Once you've purchased your monitor, bring it to your next appointment. Have your healthcare professional check to see that you're using it correctly and getting the same results as the equipment in the office. Plan to bring your monitor in once a year to make sure that readings are accurate. Home blood pressure monitoring may be especially useful for, it lists a whole bunch of things, I won't get into it. Left arm versus right arm blood pressure. Several studies have been done to determine what is the normal variation between left and right. In general, any difference of 10 millimeters of mercury, blood pressure is measured in millimeters of mercury, or less is considered normal, is not a cause for concern. Why keep a blood pressure? It says one blood pressure measurement is like a snapshot. It only tells what your blood pressure is at that moment. A record of readings taken over time provides a time-lapse picture for your blood pressure and can help your partner with your physician to ensure that your treatments to reduce high blood pressure are working. That's what they say. Let's get into it.
Kev.
This helps if you've got somebody with you. So I'm going to assist Cole in checking his, and then I'm going to do it myself as well, give my blood pressure, or Cole's going to assist me with that. So this is just a simple electronic blood pressure monitor that comes from Clicks. So the same rules apply. Cole's been sitting still for a while. We did make a slight blue bloops. We drank some coffee, Cole and I. But anyway, so
Interesting to see what maybe it'll go up a bit.
must be sitting still. Take 5 minutes. Legs uncrossed, elbows at heart. So we can go ahead and do that. Yeah. So if you've got somebody to help you out with, this is nice. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to push start and try to keep it still. So there's a small pump here, pumping in atmospheric air and filling up that cuff to close the artery off, and then it's sensing. So you can hear the little pump going. Okay, so remember when we do the auscultatory method, we do best practice, and I pump up. I first get your systolic palpated, so that you don't have to pump like what this machine just did, up to 200.
That was way more pressurized.
Yeah. So it says blood pressure is 141/59. All right. So now the recommendation is to leave him for a minute, and then just take another one. So you sit for a minute, and then we take it to the left, which is the left ventricle, which is the main generator of activity. So let's go and let's do it again, yeah? (141/58). The last one was 141/59. Okay, that's good. What I'd like to do is I'd like to see if this is possible one man. So if you would mind, I'd sit down in your place. Let's imagine that I'm a person at home that's just bought one of these machines and I'd like to check it myself. So, okay, I've got my machine. How does this go? Okay, I can probably put it on this arm. And it's going to be difficult without assistance. So, I can do this. Let's imagine I'm just... Okay, that one wasn't so difficult to get on, but it's on now. I'm checking my own blood pressure. So my feet are uncrossed. Sit and relax. And I can go ahead and push start.
Big J, how much does one of these things cost, do you know?
Probably a couple $100. Rands.
Yeah.
So 160/83. White coat, I'm a super candidate for white coat. I was expecting that. So what happens, what worse...
So you're gonna die or what?
You know what worsens? Yeah. Okay, so we'll try it again now. 155/86. The third reading, it'll be lower.
You gonna do a third?
Nah, it's coming down. But you see how it comes down.
Yeah. But you also proved you can do it. You can do it yourself. If you don't have white coat syndrome.
White coat is a big, in one of the studies that I was reading for the research that we've done on this, white coat is a big contributor. It's massive.
Yeah.
Right. Thanks for watching, guys. We haven't thought about episode 5 yet. So, yeah, not too sure what it's going to be yet, but it will no doubt be interesting. So stay tuned. Smash that subscribe button. And yeah, thanks for watching.
Punish those weights.